Welcome to the Montana Bison Hunt Orientation. I'm Andrea Jones, Region 3 Information and Education Manager with Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks. Congratulations on securing your opportunity to hunt bison in Montana. This orientation will cover topics like bison and their behavior, the areas in which you might hunt, and tips for a safe and successful hunt. To begin, let's take a closer look at bison, the largest land mammal in North America. Bison spend most of their time in herds. The cows, the subadults, and the calves spend most of the year together, while the bulls often remain solitary or in small groups. That's except for the breeding season, which occurs in the summer. Bison are migratory animals that change locations throughout the year in response to weather and forage availability. As winter weather progresses, bison move from the higher elevations in Yellowstone to the lower elevation valley bottoms in Montana, allowing for this hunt opportunity. However, your license is not a guarantee you will harvest a bison. As mentioned, bison migration out of Yellowstone National Park is dependent on weather, forage availability, and migratory patterns. Since 2005, hunter harvest of bison has been variable with no predictable trends. In some years, there have only been a handful of bison taken, while in others, we've called up dozens of cow-calf roster hunters in addition to our either-sex license holders when significant number of bison have left the park. Concerning regulations, as with any big game species hunt, you are expected to familiarize yourself with the most current regulations, including district boundaries, season dates, and any quotas which may be established, as well as the general hunting rules found in the deer, elk, and antelope regulations. For example, Hunter Orange rules apply. Please refer to the bison hunting link on the FWP website for current maps of the hunt district or districts and the most current version of the bison regulations. Remember, these may change from year to year, so make sure you're looking at the most current versions. Hunting is permitted outside of Yellowstone National Park in areas outside of the north and west borders of Yellowstone. On the north side, huntable bison might be found in the Eagle Creek area above Gardner, as well as Beatty Gulch, Cutler Meadows, and other areas. On the west side, bison are most likely to be found in the Horse Butte and Duck Creek areas. Again, check your hunt district maps and legal descriptions for boundaries. For up-to-date in-season bison hunt information, including information on bison movement outside Yellowstone, you can call the Bison Hunt Hotline at 406-994-5700, extension 5. There is no hunting within the city limits of West Yellowstone or Gardner, Montana. You're expected to familiarize yourself with the boundaries of those cities. There is also no hunting on the west side within the fenced boundary of the West Yellowstone Airport. Also on the west side, there is a closure area on the Horse Butte Peninsula from December 1st through August 15th on national forest land to protect nesting eagles. You also may not shoot within 100 yards of highways 191 or 287, both seen on your detailed maps. In addition, there are some subdivisions in the West Yellowstone area that don't allow bison hunting. Pay attention to signage in the area. On the north side, there is a closure area which runs along Highway 89 northwest of Gardner. It's a posted boundary. There is no hunting within the boundaries of Yellowstone National Park. Pay attention to how close you are to that boundary. If you shoot an animal and it retreats into the park, you may not retrieve that animal. If you shoot an animal with an ear tag or a radio collar, please turn those in to us. And as with all big game hunting in Montana, you must seek permission to hunt on private land. For rifle hunters, you must use a center-fired rifle only with a 150 grain or larger bullet. No muzzle loaders are allowed. Those wishing to hunt bison with a bow must complete the separate archery orientation. Archers must watch the archery orientation video, then answer a few questions in order to download a certificate of completion. Bison may be shot on foot or on horseback only. You can use snow machines or all-terrain vehicles for retrieval and transport, but please check with the appropriate land management agency before you do so. If you're wondering about snowmobile usage in areas within the Gallatin National Forest on the west side, call the Hebgen Lake Ranger District at 406-823-6961. If you're hunting on the north side, call the Gardner Ranger District at 406-848-7375. There is the possibility of a temporary hunt closure for bison hazing. In that case, we will alert you to the closure and reopen the hunt as soon as possible. On to equipment, tools, and support. Since 2005, we've had some experienced hunters who came unprepared to hunt bison, either because they didn't have the proper tools or enough people to help. please take time to plan your hunt. Hunting bison is unlike any other hunt experience in Montana. Adult bull bison can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. To put that into perspective, an average bull elk weighs just over 700 pounds. If you plan to field dress your own animal, we recommend a lot of sharp knives and a sharpening system. A bison hide is very thick and dulls knives very quickly. We also suggest a large bone or meat saw, an axe, a sturdy rope, and large plastic tarps. Block and tackle and a winch may be necessary, as well as a sled or game cart. Bring many fit friends to assist with field dressing and retrieving your animal after the kill. We recommend at least 5. If you don't want to undertake this task on your own, you may want to consider hiring an outfitter to help with field dressing and game retrieval. Keep in mind, if you are hunting on Gallatin National Forest lands, the outfitter must be permitted to outfit on National Forest lands.
Hi, I'm Sam Shepard. I'm the Warden Captain for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks here in Region 3. I'd like to take a couple minutes to pass on some information to you that we've found that hopefully will be helpful to you during your bison hunt this fall. What we'd like to see is a respect for the animal, and by that I mean a quick, clean, humane kill. And your best chance of success for that is to sight your rifle in for 100 yards and know what it's going to do at both 50 yards, 75 yards, 100 yards. You're going to have a fairly close shot at these animals. You're going to have all the time you need in the world to set up, get a good rest, make sure everything's right, that the angle of the animal's right, and it's pretty critical. There's 2 shots that we recommend on hunting a bison. And the first one is the head shot, which would be from ear to ear or the base of the horn angling slightly forward into the brain case. And that's what I mean when I talk about that the angle is so critical and for you to have a good rest and take your time. You're talking about an area of about this big that you have to put that bullet in. The second preferred shot that we would suggest is the heart shot. It's a little different than you'd find with a deer or an elk. Because of the composition of a bison's body, you have the large hump that is also there, and that's mostly bone and gristle. So the heart actually sits lower in the chest cavity, right behind the elbow, fairly low on the chest of a bison. With either of these shots that you take, the choice will be up to you. But in both instances, you need to be prepared for a follow-up shot to make sure that that animal is put down in the most quickly, cleanly, and humane fashion. Also be aware that even though a bison is a massive animal, you still can shoot through this animal, and you need to be sure of what's beyond your target and that you have a safe backstop. Take a trip to Yellowstone before your hunt and actually look at some bison on the landscape and get to where you can tell the difference. What we found is people have the most difficult time telling the difference between young bulls and cows and calves in that 2 to 3 year old thing. Generally speaking, bull groups or bachelor groups migrate out of the park first into Montana. So if you see a bison that's off by itself and you have a cow-calf permit, you're going to need to look pretty close, because what we found is most of the time those are single bulls. The cows and calves will come in groups later, and young calves will tend to stay with their mothers up to 18 months to the first 2 years of their life. And that's a pretty good indication if you see groups of cows and calves that that's what's there. There could be a bull mixed in with those, but once you get a chance to see a bunch of them and you have all the time in the world again, that's what we'd like you to do, is take the time, just like anything else. It's your responsibility to make sure you know what you're shooting at and what it is you're going to harvest. Remember, once you've pulled the trigger, you can't bring that bullet back.
We recommend that you have a spotter in the field when you make your shot. If it's necessary to shoot again, that person can help you clearly identify which is your target animal. If you're hunting in a herd of bison, you may want to wait for a single animal to separate itself from the others to have a clear shot. If you accidentally wound a bison, it is your responsibility to do everything you can to locate and kill that animal. If you do accidentally shoot 2 bison, please field dress both animals and immediately call 800-TIP-MONT or our regional office during the week at 406-994-4042 and ask for a warden. Concerning safety in the field, bison are extremely large animals. They can move quickly and they can be very unpredictable, even though they typically appear very docile. A wounded bison may be extremely dangerous. It is important to remain aware and alert in the field under all circumstances. Another value of having a spotter. Bull bison have been known to become curious and aggressive when another animal is wounded and down or killed. This is an instinctual response. If you shoot a bison in close proximity to other bison, use caution when approaching and conducting game retrieval. You may need to give the bison some time to disperse from the carcass of your shot bison. Should you decide to haze the other bison away from the kill site, be sure to use extreme caution, as the bison will be in an agitated state and pose a real safety threat. Bison often give indications of what they're about to do with their tail. This drawing shows 4 common tail positions. The first position, with the tail down and close to the body, indicates a bison at rest or a relaxed bison. The second position, with the tail at horizontal, indicates interest or curiosity. Perhaps it's directed at another bison or at you. The third position, with the tail above horizontal, indicates increased tension or excitement and is often used to displace other bison. This is a time to consider moving away if possible. The fourth position, with the tail raised past vertical, this may mean something is about to happen, usually dramatic and explosive. This is also the position of the tail when a bison is defecating. Having said that, the bison may be preparing to charge. Look for the tip of the tail to start flipping back and forth, and if the bison starts pawing the ground with their head close to the ground, back away slowly and look for cover. We need to talk about brucellosis, a disease which a majority of Yellowstone bison have been exposed to. That doesn't mean they have the disease, but they have the antibodies to it in their systems. We recommend bringing an entire box of gloves and remember the following. Assume every bison is potentially infected with brucellosis. Always wear protective gloves when handling the carcass and viscera. Avoid direct contact with materials from the reproductive tract or milk. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth until you've had a chance to wash carefully. Be extra careful if you have open sores or cuts. Discard organ meats and cook all meat that you are going to consume thoroughly. It's unlawful to possess or transport the fetus or reproductive tissues of a bison away from the kill site. This shall not include specifically minimized tissues naturally attached to the carcass or a portion of the carcass as necessary for evidence of sex as follows: male head with horns or penis, female head with horns or vulva.
Now you've successfully shot your bison and it's on the ground, and you've had time to let the other bison move away from it. Now comes the work, and believe me, it's a lot of work. For most of you, or anyone that ends up hunting and successfully killing a bison, this will be the largest game animal you ever have to deal with in the field as far as field dressing. Now, field dressing it is very similar to a moose or an elk, except for on a much more massive scale. You're going to want to get the guts out of this animal as soon as possible. Okay, and you're going to want to open him all the way up to the windpipe and make sure the windpipe is removed. That can be done without ruining the cape if you do it right, in case you're going to have your bison mounted. The important thing is to get the animal opened up so that air can get to it, and you do that in several different ways. On the back main hams or hindquarters of the animal, you want to separate those off and get those opened up and skin them to get air to all parts of the quarters. The other thing you'll want to do is open that up all the way down along the femur, all the way to the bone, and that exposes the bone, and that will prevent bone souring of this animal. You'll want to pay particular attention on the front quarters to the hump area. It's a very massive area of gristle, like we talked about before, and hide, and you want to open that up and throw those front shoulders back. So you slice down through the scapula, along the rib cage, and open and lay those back out. And you do that first before you start packing your meat out, so that you can have that meat cooling while you're packing it. Because they're so large and their hide's so thick, you run the risk of wasting meat if you're not careful, if you take too long. Montana does have a waste of game statute, and we will enforce it. Now remember, just like with any other hunt you're on, if you encounter a check station on the way home, you're required by Montana law to stop. It may or may not be open, the one right outside of Gardner, but it doesn't matter if it's in Gardner or if it's in Billings or Missoula, you still have to stop at the check station.
There are Native American tribes that have reserved treaty rights to hunt bison in Montana. These are legal hunting rights, and we want you to be aware that these tribes may be hunting at the same time as you. For the most part, tribal treaty hunters will follow their own rules and regulations. However, state regulations will apply in cases of public safety and bison conservation. We do receive a fair number of similar questions each year, both before and during the hunt. Because a lot of these answers may change from year to year, we've added a link to the FWP Bison Hunt webpage with frequently asked questions. Please check there before calling our offices. In addition, take some time to review some of the educational materials provided on the FWP website about bison basics. They'll help with specific information about male and female characteristics and safety tips. And again, for up-to-date in-season bison hunt information, including information on bison movement outside Yellowstone, you can call the Bison Hunt hotline at 406-994-5700, extension 5. Sportsmen and women have played a primary role in the restoration and conservation of big game species across North America. This hunt provides the opportunity for you to be directly invested in this species. You're also investing in Fish, Wildlife and Parks' goal to have bison treated as wildlife in the state of Montana. Please respect that opportunity. Congratulations once again. Be safe and enjoy your bison hunt.